Thank you for joining me here on my YouTube channel where I take motivational quotes and I use them on different topics, not only to inspire you guys, but you take these quotes and use them to inspire others. That being said, my topic of discussion today is being consistent, staying consistent, and how everything you do day to day forms a habit, and you know what your habits are, your bad ones, your good ones, and how to fix them, and how to go about fixing them. So, with that being said, I have one amazing quote for you guys today. Let's get started. All right. So, my biggest advice for you if you're trying to form better habits, if you're trying to sort of break out of this circle that you've kind of find yourself in, this roundabout of just doing the same thing over and over again, dealing with the same issues, getting to the same bad relationships, finding the same bad careers. And, this is also a force of habit because a lot of the times, when we find ourselves in positions when we're growing up where we crave chaos or we just can't function without, there's so much going on and things of that nature, then we kind of find ourselves moving towards those kinds of things. And then we wonder why we can't change or we can't grow. It's because we are, reinforcing bad habits. And the best thing I can offer you is reading Atomic Habits. And I don't have that book with me right now, but you can look it up. Amazing books. Really helps you take perspective on what it is that, not necessarily what you're doing wrong, but what can you fix so that you can sort of find yourself in a different place a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now. And a lot of us think that, I'll just grow out of it. No, you definitely won't. The more and more you reinforce these things and not deal with them, the more they will start to show as you get older. And I always use the gym, I always use working out, maybe eating healthy as a prime example. If you don't start doing those things today at whatever age you are, then you'll start to see those things unfold as you're older. And I love the saying of yes, it's hard to get up early. It's hard to go to the gym. It's hard to feel your body be sore. But you know what else is hard? Medical bills. Your body literally shutting down on you. Your body not being able to function at a normality that it should be able to function. And those are the things that you will have to deal with later on. And these things translate into every aspect of your life. If you're not comfortable around speaking around people, maybe you'll never progress in your job because they need someone who is willing to be a leader. They need someone who's willing to put themselves out there. Maybe you won't progress in your relationships because you're afraid to deal with some trauma you dealt with as a child. And you're afraid to sort of form new habits and find new ways to communicate and share your feelings with your partner. And these are things that will hold you back from having intimate relationships or being able to hold a relationship and be able to hold space for someone else, because how can you hold space for someone else if you can't hold space for yourself? And these are the things you have to sort of ask yourself as you go throughout this life, as you go throughout your journey. What are these little minuscule things that are holding me back? And just as simple as waking up in the morning, making your bed, something just as simple as, writing things down, trying to sort of create a schedule. It's really hard to do these things and it's really hard to sort of get into those habits. But the only way you can, become that person or get to that place is just to start. And a lot of us are afraid to start. A lot of us put off starting because we think it'll happen. And I really want to harp on that because a lot of the times people really think that they'll just wake up one day and things are going to be different. No, that's just not the reality of it. You want to wake up one day and think to yourself, oh, I'm glad I started this 2 years ago, 3 years ago, because now I'm reaping the benefits. And I'll also use something else. Maybe there's something, hits home for you guys, maybe money, financially wise. A lot of you think that, I'm young now, or I'll start saving later on, or I'm too old now to start saving. I need to put my money into something else, or investing, putting it somewhere else. No. The best time to start is now. And I'll give you a really good example. When you have something like a Roth IRA, right? That's something that compounds over years. You invest your money into the S&P 500. You invest your money into good technology stocks. Things are going to last a while. A lot of us think that, it'll always be there. I'll do it when I get there. But in reality, you want to have bought Bitcoin when it was 2 cents or $1 or whatever. You want to be those first movers. You want to be that first person to say, hey, I'm doing something now, and I may not necessarily see the fruits of that in the next 3 or 4 years. Maybe I'll see those fruits of that in the next 20 years, but I will start to see some type of interest, some type of compound money growth over time. And it's the same thing when it comes to your own personal beliefs, your own personal development. when you start to invest in it now, not waiting until tomorrow, not waiting until next week, because you know how that's gonna go. You're just gonna put it off. When you start investing in it now, you will start to see those things manifest later on in your life. And a lot of times we're so afraid of these things. Maybe it's taboo, maybe it's not, maybe it's frowned upon in our culture, maybe the people in our lives aren't necessarily doing those things, but you want to be the change, you want to be the difference, because whatever is telling you to make these moves, to have this impact in your own personal life, is telling you these things because one day you're going to need to share that with someone else, and your testimony will be a blessing to them to change their life. And that is what kind of sparks human change and human interaction. And these are things you have to be aware of. So my last quote for you, my only quote for you guys today, comes from Aristotle. And I believe sometimes they kind of misconstrue this. They say it's not Aristotle, but we're going with Aristotle today. He says, "We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence is not an act, but a habit." All right, guys, thank you so much for joining me here on my Friday Finish Lines. I'll see you guys next week with a new video. January will be over and will be 1 month officially to 2026. How those resolutions, how's that change? Be the change, make the change, because I guarantee you a year from now, you want to look back and tell yourself, I'm glad I just started. And it may not be to the place that you want it to be, but at least it'll be somewhere and not where it was. All right, drink your water, stay safe, and love each other. All right, I'll see you guys next week with a new video.